I'm Jonathan Mumm at Point Lobos State Reserve. Put on your hiking boots and join us in high definition for tonight's California Postcard. Coming up. It's said the barking of sea lions inspired early Spanish explorers to give Point Lobos its name.
It reminds you of the wolves back home. So you call that point Punta de los Lobos Marinos, the point of the sea wolves, or Point Lobos. Instructs on diving and...
Ranger Chuck Bancroft has been telling people about the Point Lobos State Reserve for over 25 years.
This is probably the best cold water diving in the world.
Wow.
Underwater visibility here is said to be so good it reminds some of the tropics. It also makes it a popular spot for research.
This is an idyllic place to do that because it's so pristine. It's so clean. The biota here is so varied.
There are some 250 different animal and bird species here, including deer and harbor seals, which for some visitors can make their day. Only one sign of human habitation remains on what became a natural reserve in the 1930s. That's a museum they call the Whaler's Cabin, which for a while was a staff residence. In fact, Ranger Chuck was the last person to call it home.
I mean, the cove was my front door, and I could sit out on the porch and just have a cup of coffee. It was quite idyllic. $89.50 a month, including utilities.
Today it tells the story of the people of Point Lobos, from Native Americans to Chinese fishermen, Japanese abalone divers, and Portuguese whalers. Behind the cabin, whale bones that washed up on the beach. There are nearly 10 miles of trails through pine trees dripping with the lace lichen. The deer find a tasty treat. It's home to the Monterey cypress.
It's fantastic. It's just gorgeous.
Movie makers have thought so too. Nearly 50 films have been shot here. And before the filmmakers, before the photographers, there were the plein air artists.
And this is a tradition that actually goes back to the 19th century. Started in France, and then a lot of artists from this area went over there and then came back and started the California Impressionist movement.
And writers, too. Robert Louis Stevenson is said to have visited Point Lobos while staying in Monterey. Well, local legend has it that a short time later, when Robert Louis Stevenson was drawing his famous map of Treasure Island, it was Point Lobos he was thinking about, which would make Big Dome here Treasure Island's Spyglass Hill. But then there are those who say he was describing the Virgin Islands or even the coast of Scotland.
So which historian do you believe? The one that said Scotland was the inspiration, or the ones that say Point Lobos was the inspiration?
Once you visit Point Lobos, I think I know how you'll answer that. At Point Lobos, Jonathan Mumm, News 10.